I gotta bring you the Sefer Torah.
Thank you.
It's big. It's not so small. Like box, the box that you're gonna have to check.
Okay.
Comes in a case, so you're okay. I'll bring it to you later
Thank
today.
you.
All right.
Morning, Mark.
Good
So
morning,
we
Rabbi.
start, morning. So we started the Gemara regarding Shmini Atzeret, the eighth day of the holiday. And the Gemara is talking about what do you do on the eighth day of the holiday when, let's say, we're back in the time period, and it'll apply today as well, when even though today we have a calendar, but we keep up the custom that they did in the old days, when outside the land of Israel, the word did not necessarily reach people that lived in Bavel, in Iraq, or other places of the world. They did not know when they proclaimed Rosh Chodesh. Since they did not know when they proclaimed Rosh Chodesh, every month has the possibility of having 29 days, and day 30 would be Rosh Chodesh. Or a month could have 30 days, and day 31 is Rosh Chodesh. So they knew the previous month, by that time, when was Rosh Chodesh, but now they don't know when is Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. When is the new year? Is today the new year, day 30? Meaning, are the witnesses going to be coming? Did they accept witnesses on day 30? The witnesses saw a new moon, and therefore on day 30 they proclaimed Rosh Hashanah. Or the witnesses did not come on time, and they only proclaimed day 31 as Rosh Hashanah. But the previous month had 30 days. Because of that, what did they do? People, even in Israel, you live in Tel Aviv, and if they accepted the witnesses in the afternoon, if the witnesses came, let's say early afternoon or even in the morning of that they saw the new moon and they're going to proclaim Rosh Hashanah in Jerusalem, it takes time to go from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, and therefore in Tel Aviv, they would not necessarily know when Rosh Hashanah was proclaimed. So therefore, in Israel, they would also keep 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah being it's the beginning of the year, so they don't know if today's Rosh Hashanah, tomorrow's Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, that's why today in Israel, the holiday that in Israel that's a 2-day holiday is Rosh Hashanah, because of that phenomenon. However, regarding when it came to the time, by the time of Sukkot came, 2 weeks later, which is 15th day of the month, they already knew by then in Tel Aviv, in Israel, throughout Israel, they already knew when the new month was proclaimed. And therefore, in Israel, by the time the 15th of the month came around, they knew clearly when Rosh Chodesh was. They knew clearly when the 15th day of the month was. And therefore, the Torah says on the 15th day of the month of the 7th month of the year, which is the month of Tishrei, I want you to have a Yom Tov. So therefore, they only and the Torah says, I want the first day of the holiday of 3 Yom Tov. And the Torah also says, on this 8th day, Shmini, I call it Shmini Atzeres, I also want it to be a Yom Tov. So in Israel, they already knew clearly by the 15th, and therefore they would keep 1 day of Yom Tov on the 15th. And they kept 1 day of Yom Tov on 8 days later. Shmini Atzeret was 1 day, and therefore that's why today in the land of Israel, Simchat Torah, everything is all 1 day, because Shmini Atzeret is 1 day. However, outside the land of Israel, where the word not necessarily reached them, even by the 23rd day, even by the 8th day of the holiday, not necessarily reached them. Therefore, they would keep 2 days of the holiday just in case. They don't know, is today Shmini Atzeret, is today Shmini Atzeret, or tomorrow Shmini Atzeret. And so that's the issue what the Gemara is discussing. So there was a time period that what we call today was Shmini Atzeret. They're not sure is today. So therefore, what would they do is, so they would keep 2 days of Shmini Atzeret. Now, our Gemara talks about the following. It's, let's say you call it Shmini Atzeret, but Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day, right, might also, we counted 8 days, let's say the first day of the holiday. first day of the holiday is we keep that as the holiday. Comes the second day of the holiday. Outside of Israel, we have 2 days because the second day might really be the first day of the holiday, right? Why do we keep 2 days? Because we're not sure if today is the first day of the holiday. If there's a time period, was today the first day of the holiday or tomorrow is the first day of the holiday. So that's why we're keeping 2 days. In Israel, they knew that which is the day of the holiday, but outside of Israel, they didn't know. Being that's the case, so when you come to day 8, you start at day 1. Day 8 might either be day 7 or it might be day 8, right? If day 2 is day 1, so then 8 is day 7. Okay, that's clear? Everybody got that clear? Okay, should I repeat that? Should I repeat that last point? If day 2 of the holiday, the second day of the holiday, the only reason why they would keep day 2 as the holiday and not to do work was because they were afraid maybe it's day 1 of the holiday, right? The Torah says only the first day of the holiday you're not allowed to do work. Only the first day of holiday is that it has that level of don't do malacha, except you could do cooking purposes. But the first day of the holiday is the holiday. The middle days are the quasi-holiday called Chalamoy. Those middle days, it's quasi-holiday. It's holiday. It's days of Simcha. You have to be happy, rejoice. It's part of the mitzvah of B'samachta b'chagecha. It's every day Chalamoy. You got to make sure everyone got to make sure they enjoy themselves Chalamoy. I say take a drink of wine every day of Chalamoy. Do something, enjoy every day of Chalamoy. But day 2 is the reason why we keep it, that they used to keep it as holy in that level, was because they thought maybe it's day 1. If day 2 might be day 1, so day 8 might be day 7. Being that's the case, what did they do regarding Sukkah? What do you do regarding Sukkah? If it might be day 7, the holiday of Sukkah is a 7-day holiday. You have to eat in a Sukkah. If you're having a meal, you must eat a meal in the Sukkah on every day of the holiday. All 7 days of the holiday. If you're having a meal, you're having bread, you have to have it in the Sukkah. So what did they do regarding the Sukkah on day 8? So that's the discussion in the Gemara. We had 2 opinions.
Rabbi, isn't there a risk of bracha levatala if they're not sure and there's doubt? How do we cover that, the risk of batala?
Right. So the Gemara is going So the Gemara is going to address that issue, and that's why the Gemara is going to say that they would not say the bracha. Let's say on the Sukkah. Let's say the Gemara is going to deal with the Sukkah issue, and we have to address your point regarding the Shmini Atzeret. But regarding the Sukkah, the Gemara is going to say that the first opinion in the Gemara is, one opinion would say you will not make now the halacha. By the way, today, what do? We go to this just like they went to the Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret on the 8th day because they thought maybe it might have been the 8th or might have been the 7th. But we don't say a bracha. Exactly what Haimi says. We'll go to the Sukkah out of doubt, meaning because because in the old days they had a doubt, they weren't sure. We have 47a. They weren't sure if today is day 7 or day 8. So they went to the Sukkah. So we got to go to the Sukkah. But we don't say a bracha on the Sukkah on day 8, which might have been, day 8 might be day 7. We got to go to the Sukkah out of doubt, but we won't, morning, Jack, but we won't go ahead and say a bracha on the Sukkah, exactly what Haimi says. And that's exactly what we do in practice today outside the land of Israel. We go to the Sukkah Shmini Atzeret, we go, we eat, but we do not say a bracha on the Sukkah. Okay, so one idea, I mean, part of the idea is they keep the old custom. They keep the old custom, and I mean the Gemara says maybe they're gonna maybe there'll be a time period that maybe they'll lose the calendar. I think the Gemara also says, but we have to look back in that Gemara that discusses that. But we're keeping the old tradition. Yes, Ralph. Right. Also has to do with the calendar. We have to get back more on that Okay. No, we say Elul is not Ma'ubat. Elul is never a 30-day. But today we never have Elul as always. Elul is always 29 days. Right. Sometimes some months have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, sometimes has 1 day Rosh Chodesh. So the Gemara says. Right. We know today. No. Maybe they did not have. Now we have it. In those days, it wasn't always 29 days. You're right. If it would have been always 29 days, then they would know Rosh Hashanah is always on day 30. But no, in those days, it was not always known if Elul had 29 days. That was the quick question. Does Elul have 29 days? Elul has 30 days. Now, but our Gemara brought different opinions regarding the situation of Shmini Atzeret. Did they actually make a bracha on the Sukkah on Shmini on the 7th day on Shmini Atzeret on the 8th day of the holiday when it's a safek if you have the mitzvah or not, because you don't know if today is day 7 or day 8. If it's day 7, I got the mitzvah of Sukkah. If it's day 8, I have no mitzvah of Sukkah. So a safek mitzvah, if I have a safek in a mitzvah, and because it's a safek mitzvah, I need to do the mitzvah. So now with the rabbis who instituted the brachot on a mitzvah, would they institute a bracha on a safek mitzvah or not? That seems to be a question in the Gemara. One version of the Gemara is that you will actually make one opinion in the Gemara, Jaime, to address your question, is that you will actually say a bracha on day 8, which you're not sure if it's day 8 or day 7, being that you have to sit in the sukkah, being that this safek is that you need to go ahead and do it. It's not a safek if I said a bracha on the drink or didn't say a bracha on a drink. A safek and a bracha on a drink, or I didn't say a bracha on a drink, we say if I'm not sure, it's a rabbinic law. The rabbis say if you're not sure if you need to say a bracha on the drink, you do not need to say a bracha on the drink.
Aren't all berachot the Rabbanan?
All brachot are the Rabbanan except Birkat HaMazon, saying Birkat HaMazon after you eat, and Birkat HaTorah, when we say Birkat HaTorah in the morning, Asher Kiddushon Mitzvot L'Svona Al Divrei Torah and Asher Bacha Bonim B'Kol Amim is a machloket, is an argument of opinions.
Rabbi, wouldn't there be a safek on all the second Chutz La'aretz holidays? Pesach, the second Yom Tov of Pesach.
Right, all of that, right, and all of those would be safek, correct? And yet the rabbis, we make kiddush. We make kiddush on the second day of the holiday. Why we make a kiddush? We're saying a bracha. We say a bracha of kiddush. We call it Yom Tov Hazeh. How do we? Right. We call it. We say that the regular kiddush of Yom Tov on the second day of Yom Tov, but on Chol Hamoed we don't say kiddush. Yet the second day of Yom Tov they say kiddush, and I presume the reason why the rabbi said, "How do you say kiddush on the second day?" It's with a safek. The reason is because if you would not, they felt that if you're not going to give it the bracha, most probably people are not going to treat it with the proper respect, and therefore they'll come to treat it like a weekday. You think? You're very good. Okay, so now number one, right. But the number one is Shmini Atzeret is its own holiday. It's a full holiday. It's its own holiday, and therefore, once you're going to recognize Shmini Atzeret to say the bracha on Sukkah, and you're calling it Shmini Atzeret. One opinion says, how could you say the bracha on Asher Kishon Mitzvot? You have to treat it like Shmini Atzeret. You have to treat it regarding work. You can't do work on the 8th day. But really, it's a question: is today's day 8 or day 7? But you're going to treat it like day 8 because you have to be strict not to work on day 8. If you're going to say the bracha Leishiv Sukkah on day 8, day 7, people will look at it like it's a weekday. But Leisha Sukkah day, if you're calling it a Leisha Sukkah, you're calling it a Sukkah day. Sukkah day, day 7 is not a holiday of forbidden of work. So therefore, there was a great sensitivity, and therefore they said, you know what? Don't make a bracha Leisha Sukkah according to one opinion, but treat it as Shmini Atzeret to ensure people will treat it Morning Morris as a real holiday and won't come to be light in the holiday. So there is the first version of the Gemara is that you will sit in the sukkah on day 8, which you're not sure if it's day 8 or day 7, but you will not say the bracha of Leishev Basukah. That is the first opinion of the Gemara. But the other rabbi holds, that's one opinion of one rabbi. But the other, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. The opinion of Rabbi Yochanan is, according to the first version of the Gemara, is that you will go ahead, you will sit in the sukkah on, meaning the Gemara says the following. The first version of the Gemara is everybody holds that on Shmini Atzeret you got to sit in the sukkah because it might be day 7 and you might be violating a biblical law if you're eating outside the sukkah meal on day 7. It might be day 7. But the argument was, biblically, the mitzvah of sukkah 7 days, period. And that's why in the land of Israel, that the Israelis are not going to the sukkah on day 8. There's no... Now, regarding, do you say a bracha of Leishev Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret? That is the argument in the first version of the Gemara. The argument is that Rabbi Yochanan says you did not say the bracha Leishev Sukkah, and the other rabbi says you will say the bracha Leishev Sukkah on day 7. That's the first version of the Gemara. The second version of the Gemara is, the Ikadiyami of the Gemara is, nobody would say you say a bracha of Leishev Sukkah on day 7. On day 8, I'm sorry. When Shmini Atzeret, there won't be any argument. There wouldn't be any opinion. I mean, we just said to address Jaime's question of Suffolk bracha, the first opinion of the Gemara holds that there's a difference between a Suffolk bracha on a food and a Suffolk bracha on a mitzvah. That maybe on a mitzvah that you need to do out of Suffolk, maybe you would have to say a bracha, and maybe the logic perhaps would be, was if you would not say a bracha on it, people will not take it seriously and they won't even do it. And because you need to do it, you need to do that mitzvah out of Suffolk, so maybe you would go ahead and maybe you would require a bracha. Others say you don't require a bracha. You should know, I think Moshe Feinstein has a fascinating letter in the Igrot Moshe, back in Russia, when if a person was not able to put on his tefillin during the day hours of his work, and the only time he would be able to put on his tefillin was in the morning. He would go to sleep and get up early in the morning while it's still dark, and it's still technically nighttime. Can he say a bracha on his? What does he do regarding tefillin? Can he put on his tefillin then? Can he say a bracha? So what I recall he says is the following. There's a machlokit in the Gemara, is nighttime, is there a mitzvah of tefillin at night or not? We all know, but that's the machlokit in the Gemara, is tefillin, is laila zman tefillin. Is nighttime a time of tefillin? So he says, I think we hold, technically, nighttime is a time of tefillin, but the reason why the rabbi said you can't have your tefillin at night, because maybe you're going to mitgezes, maybe you're going to fall asleep, and mitgezes, not treat the tefillin with proper respect if you're going to be wearing them at night. That's the time people fall asleep. So Ramosha has a big chiddush, what I recall. He says, but if you went to sleep at night, now the concern is that you're going to go and you woke up in the morning, it happens to be 4 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. The concern of falling asleep with your tefillin in a minute it doesn't apply. So he wants to say you could technically put on your tefillin, but technically, but he's not a question, should you say a bracha or not say a bracha? I think he said that a person who's a ben Torah, person who understands, like we're learning, all of us are learning, we understand, even if you don't say a bracha on the mitzvah is a mitzvah without the bracha. There's the mitzvah, and then there's a bracha on the mitzvah. that the rabbis instituted a bracha on the mitzvah, but the mitzvah and the bracha came at two different time periods. But a person who's not learned will not, if you tell him not to say a bracha, he's not going to take it seriously. So those type of people, I think he says, let them make a bracha on the mitzvah. Let them make a bracha on the tefillin that time. That's what I recall a number of years ago. You can look up the tshuva again. But it just shows you how people perceive something. If you don't say a bracha on it, they don't take it seriously. They don't think they don't think it's a mitzvah.
But the mitzvah is separate from the bracha. It's its own action.
Yeah, but the mitzvah is own action. The Torah gives you a mitzvah to put on tefillin. The Torah never told you have to say a bracha before you put on your tefillin. The rabbis, the chachamim, want to help us. They want us to get us in the right mindset, the right kavanah, that when you're doing the mitzvah, set yourself up. Remember, Hashem commanded you to do the mitzvah. You become holy as a result of mitzvah. Every time you do a mitzvah, you're giving yourself a shot of holiness. So Asher Kiddushanim Mitzvotav, you sanctify this mitzvah. Mitzivanu, I'm not just doing. I'm having proper mindset, which is a big deal. We're not supposed to be just doing mitzvot. I put on my tefillin. I put on my tefillin. You did it with the kavanah. Hashem commanded me. This is reminding myself every day. This is a commandment that God Mitzivanu commanded us, commanded the Jewish people to do this mitzvah. So the rabbis created that bracha. They felt it necessary to enact such a bracha. The same way we say a bracha before we eat, the rabbi told you have to say a bracha before you eat. The rabbi said you should say a bracha before you do the mitzvah of the mitzvah. That's the rabbi.
Rabbi, on the subject of putting tefillin, if it's dark in the morning, if let's say you have a doctor's appointment or a flight, can you put on the tefillin before either of those if it's going to prevent you from putting them on later?
I'm saying the question is, it's better to, if it'll be nighttime, if it'll be technically night, then better put on tefillin at any time during the day where it's daylight and say the bracha.
But like you said, 4 o'clock in the morning, you already slept. It takes away the risk of falling asleep or anything else.
Right, but you're going to still have a time period during the day. In Russia, they had no time. They would not be able to bring their tefillin with them. They wouldn't be able to say the bracha at any time during the day. I mean, they might put on the tefillin, but they might not say. They wait to say a bracha. No, right. They put on the tefillin. No, the hour before. Right, the hour before sunrise, they could technically say the bracha on the tefillin. You know, they could say the bracha on the tefillin, but I mean that's called mishayakir. There's a time period that you're able to say the bracha on the tefillin, which let's say it's about an hour before sunrise. But what I would say in that case, if you're not gonna reach that hour before sunrise, I would say you should put on the tefillin later when it's actually any time where it's really daylight, where it's
unless you're not able to.
Unless you're not able to. Let's say there's some situation somehow during the whole day when it's light during the day, you're not going to person for some reason is not going to be able to put on tefillin the whole day. According to this Shuvah Moshe, yes, you would be correct. Person should put on the tefillin 4 o'clock in the morning. He slept once for 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would say better not to say the bracha, being that we understand the laws and we don't need to say the bracha to appreciate the halacha, and therefore go ahead, put on the tefillin, and if it's possible, if if it happens that during daylight the person got a chance to put on the tefillin, so then I would say, then take the tefillin and say a bracha on the tefillin later on in the day. If it came out that you didn't expect you'll have a time window during daylight, put on 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if it came out that you were able to do it, I would say then put it on, and now you could say the bracha. That wouldn't be a problem saying a bracha 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because technically the mitzvah of tefillin is the whole day, except we don't put on the tefillin the whole day. We don't do the tefillin, we don't do it the whole day, but it's because of our limitations of keeping our bodies clean throughout the whole day. Okay, so that's the first version of the Gemara. Then we have the second version of the Gemara. The second version of the Gemara is everybody agrees that Kuli Alma, that we don't say a bracha, we will not say the bracha of Leishev Basukkah on Shmini Atzeret. There's no argument, the Gemara says. Everybody would say you don't say the bracha Leishev Basukkah. But what is the argument? The argument is, do you actually have to look in the Gemara, Ike de Amri. Let's look at the language of the Gemara. We are on 47A1. Ike de Amri. Let's see. The 47A1. Let's see 47A1. Or so
Right side.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Let's look back. We'll start at the top of the page. Keep pleading lebruchi. First of all, we'll look. Good morning, Michael. Welcome. We're going to see inside the Gemara the argument of the first version, and then we'll get to the second version. The argument first, the Gemara wanted to say. The argument is whether you'll say a bracha of Leisha Sukkah on the 8th day of Sukkah. The Mandi Amashvi Sukkah, the one who says that we look at it, we treat it like the 7th day. The first version of the Gemara is that you would actually say Leisha Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. The Mandi Amashmini Lezer, but according to the opinion that says no, we treat it like an 8th day. Is bruchi nami lo mevachinam. We will sit in the sukkah, Shmini Atzeret, but we will not say a bracha of leisha b'sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, "No to Rabbi Yochanan biyotcha." You should follow the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. Why? And the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan that you don't say that you should not say a bracha of leisha b'sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, because the Rav Huna b'bizna v'chol gedolei hadar, Rav Huna b'bizna and all the great rabbis, iklu l'sukkah b'shmini safek shvi. They came to the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, and meitav havayatvi bruchi lo bruchi. On Shmini Atzeret, all the great rabbis came to the sukkah. But they sat in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, but they did not say the bracha of what? Of leishev b'sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. So the Gemara says, and therefore the fact that we see the rabbis in practice did not say a bracha, that proves that yes, you should follow that opinion. You don't say the bracha leishev b'sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. So the Gemara shoots back. Maybe the reason why the rabbis didn't say the bracha is maybe they hold the opinion that says Kivan shebirech Yom Tov Rishon Shuveinu Mevarech. The reason why they didn't say the bracha is not because they hold it's not deserving of a bracha. The reason why they didn't say bracha is because they hold like the opinion. Remember, we had opinion in the Gemara. Do you say a separate bracha every day of Sukkot, a separate leisha b'sukkah, or does one bracha leisha b'sukkah because it's a continuous mitzvah? It's one mitzvah. There's not. Maybe you say it's one bracha on the day one covers you throughout the whole holiday, and day 2 and day 3 and day 4 you don't say a bracha as well. Of course, we know we say a bracha every day, separate, different bracha. But this opinion, there's an opinion in the Gemara that says once you said a bracha day 1, that covers you the whole holiday. So maybe that's why they didn't make a bracha on Shmini Atzeret, because it's just like day 2. It's not that you're not supposed to say bracha, but they never said a bracha on day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So therefore, maybe that's why they don't say a bracha. But we who hold that you say a separate bracha every day, maybe you should say a bracha on Shmini Atzeret. So what's the proof? Dilma, maybe they hold that's why they didn't say a bracha. So the Gemara says, Gemiri dime'afa atu. We know they came from a situation. The situation did not say a bracha on the sukkah on day 1 to day 7, and now on day 8, since they didn't say a bracha from the sukkah, so they had the opportunity to say a bracha on day 8. It's not because they said a bracha on day 1. Now the question: why didn't they say a bracha until now? So right, the Gemara is saying they didn't say it. The case was, some explain the Gemara is that there was a situation that the government did not let them go ahead, allow them the proper performance of the mitzvah of Sukkah. And therefore, that's why they did not say a bracha. They would not. They did not sit in the sukkah during those days. The government did not let them sit in the sukkah. Let's say for the first 7 days of the holiday, and on the 8th day of the holiday, so now that maybe the government didn't mind because they know the government knows it's a 7-day holiday. Now you're sitting in the sukkah, you're not doing it for the mitzvah of sukkah. So now when it came to day 8, they went to the sukkah on day 8. Now they could technically say the bracha on the sukkah. They never said a bracha day 1. But the government, by the way, I think it's brought down by the Greek time period, the holiday of Hanukkah. Holiday, Michael most probably knows all these details. Michael's a big expert in a lot of things. That the 8th day of the Hanukkah is an 8-day holiday, right? And also, there's one of the decrees that the question is, why do we celebrate 8 days of Hanukkah? You had enough oil to last for 1 day, so you should only celebrate 7. The miracle was 7 days. So why do we commemorate 8 days? Right? That's a famous question. Commemorate 7 days. You had enough oil for 1 night. The miracle that was left an extra 7 nights. So I think one of the many answers that's given is because they did not let us do the mitzvah of Sukkah, which the mitzvah of Sukkah is a 7-day is a 7-day holiday, and we wanted now that we got the the rabbis are going to institute to commemorate the miracle. There was some connection to the commemorating that idea of being able to go ahead and have the mitzvah of Sukkah. So there was many. They didn't let us do Brit Milah. They didn't do a circumcision. They didn't let us keep Shabbat. But some say they also, one of the things was they didn't let us sit in a Sukkah. So they made certain decrees against us, and therefore they weren't able to sit in this. These rabbis were in a time period, which this is post Hanukkah time period, and they did not let them sit in the sukkah, and therefore day 8 was their first opportunity to sit in the sukkah, and yet they did not say a bracha on day 8, but they weren't in the sukkah until now. It wasn't that they said a bracha on day 1. So what do we see from here? We see from here that on Shmini Atzeret, when you're not sure if it's today's day 8, today's day 7, you did not say a bracha, because the rabbis did not say a bracha on the sukkah on the Shmini Atzeret. So that's what the Gemara says. Ika de Amri, others say, Bruchi kuliyama lo ligadil mavachinon. Everybody agrees you did not say a bracha of Leishev Basukah on Shmini Atzeret on the 8th day of the holiday when you're not sure if it's day 8 or day 7. Ki pligi lemeitav. What is the argument? Do you actually sit in the sukkah at all? There's an opinion that says you should not sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. Why not? So I think the Ritva says, because if you're going to sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, people are going to think that you're considering it. Why are you sitting in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret? Because out of doubt, is today day 8 or day 7? If today is day 7 of the holiday, then it's not a day of forbidden of work. It's Chol Hamoed. Day 7 of Sukkot is a day of Chol Hamoed. If you're going to tell the people to sit in the sukkah day 7, even though it might be Sukkot, but there's more to lose than to gain, because people might come. That's one opinion. Might come to treat it like a regular, like Chol Hamoed. And therefore, if they'll treat it like Chol Hamoed, they'll do many malachot that you're not allowed to do on the actual holiday of Shmini Atzeret. And therefore, in order to ensure that people won't come to do work on Shmini Atzeret, they said, according to this opinion, better don't sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, even though it might be the 7th day of the holiday, because of the loss that might come as a result of you doing that. The people might treat it like a 7th day of Sukkot, and therefore they'll go to work. Well, like just like you do work, certain work that you do on Chol Hamoed, if there'll be a loss or certain things you do on Chol Hamoed, they'll come to do that on Shmini Atzeret, but it might be Shmini Atzeret. So therefore, to ensure that people won't make that won't have that, they said, don't go to the Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. That was that opinion of the Gemara. The other opinion of the Gemara says no. You should go ahead and go to the Sukkah, but just don't say a bracha. So the Gemara Amar Shvi'i Sukkah, the one that says Shvi'i Sukkah, that means Meishav Shmina. You're supposed to sit in the Sukkah. Lamandi Amar Shmini L'zeh L'zeh, the one who says it's the 8th day, both regarding Shmini Atzeret and both regarding Sukkah. Meitav Nami Lo Yashmini. You do not go to the Sukkah. That opinion says you do not go to the Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret. Of course, we know the halacha is we go to the Sukkah on Shmini Atzeret, but we don't say a bracha. Avleisha B'Sukkah. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. We'll be on tomorrow on Friday. We'll be on Monday. Bezrat Hashem. Everybody's invited. And I think we're not going to be on Chol Hamoed, but Yom Tov is over on a Tuesday night. We'll be back Wednesday morning. So again, we're on tomorrow. We're on Monday, everybody. And
have a great day, Rebbe.
Have a good day, everybody. All the best.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.